Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'll be working on my Schefflera Bonsai. It needs pruning and cleaning up. This tree is planted in a 3D printed bonsai pot. The stand and the base are also 3D printed. So let's get to work today in the bonsai zone. My dwarf Schefflera has been growing really well over the summer, and it's gotten really bushy. And I've gone in and tried to see what the branch structure looks like, but it's really hard to see any branches at all. It's all covered in leaves. So my first job today will be to defoliate the tree, and then I can go in and do the pruning. It's quite dark outside right now, and I usually don't make videos at night, but I was busy all day in the community gardens planting trees, and I'll show you a quick video of that while I'm defoliating the tree. Hi everyone, we're out at the community orchard, gardens, and edible forest, and today is kind of a significant day because we're starting to plant the First Nations garden. John and Joanne from our Stewards of the Forest group donated 15 cedar trees, or Thuya occidentalis, and in nature the cedar trees generally grow in like a pure stand. So we're going to plant the majority of them in the one corner here. In the other corner we'll have our larches, and then over at near the entranceway here we'll have the birches. That way the white birches stand out against the kind of green backdrop that'll be behind them. So we're just planting 5 trees today. We're kind of tackling it in sections, and we're hoping to get the whole 15 planted by probably before Christmas, as long as the ground stays diggable. So here we are. The trees are going in the ground. We're digging the holes. We've kind of laid them out so they look a bit of a random pattern, so it doesn't look like they were planted in rows or anything. And everyone's hard at work except for me.
Like a round sickle so that it...
Yeah, just so the bottom of it's, because that'll always be in moisture, that last bit. Yeah, I would dig down to the clay and then dig like a little hole for the pot to go into, or the...
This is the clay, that is clay there.
Yeah,
is it?
Is that far down?
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, like
all right.
Kind of clay. This is like 2 kinds of
These
clay.
holes are going to love it because they're going to fill up with water.
Yeah.
As long as the edges are scored so they can...
Yeah.
spread their roots.
The trees always look much smaller when they get planted in the ground, don't they? We're missing one important member of the Stewards of the Forest group today. That was Magic. He was the fellow with the long white beard and usually wore a hat and always had a smile on his face. And he was in a tragic car accident that took his life, and yeah, we really miss him out here. All 5 trees are in the ground now. So you can see that we've kind of left a ring around the tree, and it'll be backfilled with wood chips and compost. This ground is fairly wet, so these cedar trees should do really well here. It's going to be quite a nice looking forest someday. It's looking good. That is better. It looks straight now. It was only a couple of degrees off. Well, it's looking good. We just need to do all the finishing touches now.
What are the finishing touches?
Wood chips all around. So we've laid out the trees, so from the entrance of the garden here, the pattern looks quite random. It's designed to look very natural for the First Nations garden. Very exciting seeing all the trees in place. We still have 10 more trees to plant, and we're hoping to get out next Thursday and probably do another 5. The work is all done for today. You can see the 5 trees planted. So the clay we kind of dug up, we put around sort of a crater and then filled it with compost and wood chips. And then we kind of just tamped it down with our feet, making sure everything's solid. Yeah, so the trees, they should really like it here. It's nice moist ground. The last thing I want to do today is way over there in the distance. There's a giant stone. It's not that big, but I want to roll it. The healing garden will go here, which is going to be that circular garden with a north, south, east, west quadrants. And in the middle of it, traditionally there's a giant stone. We don't have a giant stone, so the one over here is the biggest one we have. So let's go have a look at that. So here's the stone here. Yeah, it's not real big, but you can see my hand beside it here. It's a good size. So I'm going to try and roll that over, kind of over here somewhere. And that, we'll use that as the center of the circle for the garden. And you know, I may have to shift the location of it. Once we bring like that measuring wheel out here, we can find the exact center of the circular garden, lay out the diameter with stones, and yeah, get that underway also. So yeah, there's the 5 trees in, 10 more to go. Oh, it's quite heavy. There we go. It's kind of square too, but I can do it. I had to give up rolling the stone. As I was rolling it, it would build up this layer of mud and it would be really slick, so I couldn't grip the rock anymore. So I moved it a little ways anyway, in the right direction. So that's it for today out at the community gardens. So that was a look at the work done today for the First Nations garden, and I'm very excited to get that underway. I think it'll be an exciting project for the future. A defoliation like this should only be done on a really super healthy tree, and I wouldn't defoliate this if I didn't have to, but it's the only way I can see what's going on with this tree. Like I said, I tried to get in and look at the branch structure, but it was just too dense. I just couldn't tell what was going on. So this certainly will not improve the vigor of your tree. If you're trying to grow a bonsai, you do not want to be leaf pruning. Leaf pruning is only done to refine the structure, allow you to get in there and see where you're pruning. And the only time I leaf prune is like now, after the tree's been growing vigorous and wild all summer. It's full of energy and vigor, and now I can go in and leaf prune it. If this tree was weak or unhealthy and I leaf pruned it, there's a good possibility that the tree could just get sicker and weaker and could possibly even die. So I'm not doing this to get smaller leaves or anything like that. Now you can, if you're doing, you know, if this were to go in a show, I would leaf prune it sort of before the show, a good 4 to 5 weeks before the show. And then as the new leaves came in, they would come in much smaller and it would look really good for the show. But that's something you only do, like I said, when it's growing really vigorously. And I would only do it for a show, you know, maybe every second year or something. If you leaf prune totally every year, you could really weaken the tree, and, you know, it would take a long time to recover its health back, and it could get sick and die. So always be cautious about leaf pruning. And it also depends on the species of the tree. Some species bounce back very quickly from leaf pruning. Other species not so much. These Scheffleras they're pretty good. As long as you had, you know, lots of vigor in it and healthy, it'll bounce back quite quickly. And you need good conditions for recovery too. You can't, you know, place it in a cold, dark windowsill and expect it to recover from leaf pruning. It has to be in good light, good temperatures, nice and warm, and good humidity. You know, conditions ideal for plant growth. If it's in less than ideal conditions, leaf pruning could be just a death sentence for the tree. We're due for some really cold temperatures this week. I think by the end of the week it's supposed to go down to -14 at night, which is awfully cold for this time of year. So I've put all my, hardy tender species inside the greenhouse already. That'll give them some protection for these cold weather that's coming up. I don't quite have the basement ready for the trees yet. I've got to do some cleaning up down there. Otherwise, I could put them in the basement, but I don't know if I'll get it all cleaned out in time. I'll try. I'll see if I can get that basement cleaned out in the next few days and get my tables down there and set up. And then bring those species in, the less hardy species, so they survive that -14. -14 isn't too bad. A lot of trees can survive those kind of temperatures fine. So my styling intention for this tree is to create sort of a miniature Vietnam style bonsai. So in Vietnam, they grow their bonsai really large. So this pot would be a cement pot, and a person would stand about this high compared to this pot layout. So they're really large. They move the trees around with cranes. Yeah, they're really into the large bonsai in Vietnam, which is amazing. I mean, they have some small bonsai too, but they kind of seem to specialize in those large bonsai, from what I've seen on YouTube anyway. I subscribe to a lot of Vietnam channels, and they're just excellent. I love them. Really good stuff. And very inspiring to see their trees and their styles. It's very refreshing. A lot of these leaves are quite compact on here. They don't have really long leaf petioles. They're very kind of tight to the branch structure. The only ones that are really long are the ones that have grown probably indoors, or since I put it in the greenhouse outside where it had lower light levels, and it's kind of grown a little long and leggy. So what is a Vietnam style bonsai? That is a good question. Generally, very thick trunks and very compact low branch structures. So I wouldn't want this tree any higher, that's for sure. But I certainly want a more spreading branch structure. So we'll try for that style. And lots of aerial roots, lots of surface roots. Everything that shows off a beautiful tropical tree. It's been quite cool outside lately. Below freezing, even in the daytime. And if it climbs above freezing, it's only +1 or +2. So the plant room's been quite cool. I've just got my heater on low. So right now it's 19.7 degrees and 57% humidity. And I usually cool the plant room down at night. I've been trying to keep it on that natural schedule where the light drops at night. I turn the fans off usually, so the air becomes calmer. There's no wind. The temperature lowers, so the plant really gets a good rest at nighttime. I think that is defoliated. Oh, there's a few around the back here I'll have to get. So just a few more leaves here. Yeah, and some very compact leaves. Okay, that's defoliated. I place all my clippings in a plastic pail, and I have a lid on top of the pail, so if there is any insects in here, like scale insects or whitefly or aphids, they stay in that plastic bin and they can't escape into the rest of the plant room. And then when that bin gets full, I just tip it outside. There's a look at the front view of the Schefflera Bonsai. It's looking really nice. I really like this branch, the way it kind of curls around. It's got a nice structure to this tree. There's just a few shoots that are coming up that need pruning, so I'll do that now. I'll step back and have a look at it and decide what needs shortening. Scheffleras tend to grow in a very angular pattern. The new shoots tend to grow very straight. They just shoot out in a straight direction. So you need to prune them back short to redirect that branch in a new direction and create some more branching or ramification off the tip of the branch. So any of these shoots that are just, sticking straight out will have to be pruned back. So let's begin with that. I'll begin at the very apex here. You can see there's been a leaf each side here. So if I prune just above there, I'll get some new ramification at the tip, like that. This branch, it's growing kind of horizontal. I will also prune the growing tip off of that back to here. I'll get some division there. There's one coming out the front here. I'm going to just prune. I'm going to prune it back to here, like that. The one back here, this one's about ready to come off. I will prune it back to here, like that. So that's keeping that new growth very compact, and that's at the apex. And growth is more vigorous at the apex anyway, so you want to prune your apex back harder, and maybe some of the weaker branches down lower, you can let those grow a little longer. I'll continue to prune up the rest of the tree now, so I'll shorten this branch back to here, like that. There's one I can prune back to here. There's a long one here I'm going to prune back. There's a shoot growing towards the inside of the tree. I'll prune that off like that. There's a long one underneath. I'll prune back shorter like that. I can prune this one back shorter to here. Just prune some of these leaf petioles back. There's some stubs in here. If you see this stub, I don't know if you can see that, but that's where I pruned it before and it redirected the branches. So I'll come in and clean that up. Here's that stub right here. So I want to go in and just take that off to smoothen that branch out so I don't have that stub in place, just like that. And that'll heal over really nicely, nice and smooth. Here's another stub in here that I can come in and clean up. Just like that. I'll continue doing that anywhere I see, some previous pruning stubs, cleaning it up. This is the back of the tree, and there's a really long shoot here that needs pruning back, and I'll prune it back to here. I've got, two previous leaves that were growing out here, so when I prune it here, I should get two new branches coming out kind of sideways. I've got a long vertical shoot here I can prune back. I'll prune that back to here. I've got a long shoot coming out the side here. That can be pruned back to here. There's a shoot coming out the back here. That needs pruning back to here. This can get pruned off the tip. The tip of this one can be pruned off. Maybe the tip off here too. And I think that's got all the growing tips pruned back now. I'll rotate the tree back to the front now, and I'll take a good look at the structure and decide if I need to do any corrective action. Okay, back to the front. Right about there. I've been looking at the structure, and there is one awkward branch in here, and it starts right here off the main trunk. And it kind of comes back and almost straight back, and it's kind of in between these two trunks. A very awkward branch. I would rather one of the branches in here grow in that direction rather than this coming off the trunk at some strange angle and growing towards the back of the tree. So there's lots of room to fill in that section with a branch off of this branch. I don't need this. This is a duplicate branch. You can see the two branches growing in this almost the same spot. So I'm going to remove that branch entirely. So here I go. This is a, you know, a major styling, major pruning, major styling operation, but I think it'll really improve the tree for the future. All right, off it goes. Just like that. Nice flush cut in there too. It's a good cut. So that's really improved it, I think, from that front view. I do have a branch coming straight out towards the front here, which is not a good idea in a bonsai. It would be better if, you know, one was coming off at a slight angle. However, in the future, it's also possible, instead of planting it at this angle, the front view it currently is, I could just rotate the front view a bit so it isn't coming straight out at the viewer. So I'm not going to prune that branch off because I think I can just replant it at a slightly different angle and that branch will look quite nice. Out at the tip of this branch, I have a branch that's growing down here. And I have the opportunity to prune off the tip of this branch to redirect it so it curls downwards. And I'm trying to decide if that's what I want to do. I don't think so. I think this branch looks better coming out kind of horizontally. If it goes downwards, I think it's just getting too much of a curve here. So I think I want to keep these two horizontal branches and probably prune that downward one off. I cover up the part I'm going to remove with my finger. Yeah, I think even though this is fairly straight here, I think it's short enough that, you know, once the branch redirects horizontally, I think it'll look quite good. There is a tip here, a past pruning stub I can remove. Like that. That makes that branch a little more compact. And then I will remove this lower part here. On some trees I would keep that, but I just like it better coming out here. I also have a little branch out the back, which is fine. That's kind of growing in the right direction. That's fine. I have a similar situation at the tip here. I have a branch going downwards. I have one kind of pointing upwards and another one going quite vertical. In this case, I think these are too vertical, and I think it would be better to replace the tip of this branch with that one that's angling downwards. So kind of a reverse of this case. And I'm just covering it up to make sure that's a good decision. I think it is. So here I go. I'm going to remove the tip here. Like that. And I'm going to remove that vertical shoot here. Like that. So now that branch is a little nicer, I think. It has a better future. It won't be going vertical and competing with the apex. I have a branch here, and it's quite straight. And I pruned it off so one branch goes this way and there's another going this way. However, it's quite straight in this section. And I could prune it off here, reducing that straight section by almost half, redirecting the branch out this direction, which I need foliage in this direction. And it'll take that branch coming off the back, which is too bad, but there is another shoot lower down going towards the back. So I'm going to take this tip off, shortening that branch and kind of improving that branch for the future. So here I go. Just like that. Now I'll look at the front again. I'm looking at this branch here. I have this branch kind of grows in towards the center of the tree, and it kind of conflicts with this branch. If it were to grow any higher, it would start overlapping with this upper branch. I have a branch that's flowing outwards from the tree right here, so I don't think I want that branch going in towards the center of the tree. So I'll remove that also. That'll improve the flow lines of this branch. Like that. And I'm just going to clean that cut up a bit. So that looks much nicer on that branch now. I've got some aerial roots coming from the base down here. I've got one root that comes out straight towards the viewer, and if I rotate the tree a bit, which I had intended to kind of correct this branch, this one comes straight out towards the viewer, and it comes out quite high on the trunk. It's not, these roots don't kind of flow down the trunk line and into the soil. They kind of just shoot straight out from the trunk, and I'm not a real fan of those types of roots. They don't look very miniature to me. So I would rather, you know, see these little fine roots that we're developing here? They kind of grow close to the trunk and kind of grip the trunk line. I would rather roots like that on this tree. So I think I'm going to have to take these aerial roots off. I do love the ones hanging down from branches and that, but these just kind of destroy the nice root base at the base here. They'll cover it up and you won't see the nice trunk flare at the base. So I'm going to remove these two aerial roots that are sticking out, and there may even be a third one behind there too. So I'll snip it off at the trunk here, like that, and snip it off at the soil level like that. And I'll do the same for this one, off at the trunk, and down at the soil level. This will take a little bit of vigor off the tree, but not much. Most of the roots that are working to feed the tree are in the soil. There's another one coming off. There. So now you can see the trunk much more clearly. You can see that flare at the base down there. And I think it'll look more miniature in the future. I'm looking at the structure of the tree again. And this branch here, it could become a possible problem in the future. I could remove that. As it grows up, it may conflict with the main trunk. It may start conflicting with the apex. It may not be necessary. You might just want that big snaking branch coming over here. So at the moment, it doesn't bother me. It looks okay. But I'll keep my eye on it, and if it becomes a problem in the future, I'll have to remove that section of it. I'll rotate the tree around so you can see it from all angles. So here we go. I had all the models of these 3D printed pots on my computer, but I had my hard drive crash last year and I lost all that data. But I will be recreating some of these pots over the winter, you know, creating more 3D models and printing them out. So that'll be coming up in the future, and I'll make all those files available. I think I'll probably post them to Thingiverse or somewhere like that where they're available to everyone. That's all for today. I think my Schefflera Bonsai has taken a step towards a better future for the tree. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me today in the Bonsai Zone.